Hi, I'm Terry.
I am Deb Saunders.
Hi, I'm Haley.
My name is Sarah, and I actually wanted to do a mission trip like my entire life since I was little, and I used to see those commercials on TV. So when I saw the Global Outreach series that you guys did, gosh, that was last year, I filled out the application, and I thought, like, my son's older, he's 13 now, so I was just like, you know what, just look into it. So I did.
I used to think, why does it matter if I go? You know, someone else is going, there's enough people, so why do they need me? Or I just wasn't even really interested. I would rather, it's easier to send the money for me because at the time I either couldn't go or I just wasn't wanting to go.
I've traveled to Ethiopia several times now, and it was a great experience as always. Just a refresher of what it's like to be around that culture, those people, and what I learned there was amazing.
We were able to meet the Youth Impact boys and spend some time with them. They did introductions and they did like a worship singing and stuff. And that was really impactful because that was like the first time we got to meet them. And when they were worshiping and everything, they were just like sobbing kind of, but it wasn't like a sad sobbing, it was in a good way, you know what I mean? Like they were grateful for what the organization's done for them. And I noticed too, I was actually talking to Terry about this, I used to work for an organization that was residential for troubled kids, and nothing ever worked, but it also wasn't like faith-based, so you don't have that core center, you know what I mean? Whereas with Youth Impact it is, and it was founded on that, so that's their center. So I think that helps a lot too.
The most difficult part for me was going into one of the villages, going to the home, and not just, it wasn't really difficult getting into the home and sitting on the floor and everything, but the story that she told us was very difficult because the daughter needed a prosthetic foot. And I couldn't get it for her because it's like a 2-year waiting list. And I didn't mean to have a fixing attitude, but it was hard. You know, we're so blessed here. We're so blessed in America, as we all know. And when you go to a country that isn't as blessed or doesn't have the means that we do in America, you don't even understand it until you get there. And so I wasn't even thinking about helping someone like this. I had no idea that her name is Ye Absarab, and I didn't even know she existed. And that's the most difficult part, I think, was here we can go, boom, let's get on an appointment, let's go to the doctor. Okay, so you take a month or so, but you know, you got your appointment. There, ooh, it could be 2 years.
I saw God moving through our partners in the way they love each other. So I would spend time at Salamta's family home, and I saw just their expressions of love and care for one another was very evident and obvious. We had fun playing games and eating together and just having conversations. And I watched the conversations between the family members, and it was just fun. It was refreshing to see that, and just really good to see that the families are healthy and doing well. Some of the kids had come back to visit us that night because they've already launched from the program. They've got good jobs, they're doing well, but they come back and spend time with the family again, which is great. One of the little girls was sad that her older sister had to leave again because she's living on her own now, and so, but it was just sweet to see that.
We went to Young Life and divided into little groups, like get to know you groups basically. So I was in a group, Terry was in a group, Deb was in a group. My group, only one person spoke English. Her name was Mary. But something that I took note of too afterwards was, even though there's that language barrier, you still form those connections.
But what I did see was Debbie reach out and pray with because they do know, they understand the power of prayer, and they love that our church prays for them. So for Deb to actually take that initiative and say, how can I pray for each of you in their little group, and she stepped into that with them, I thought was awesome.
So what I saw firsthand was, for instance, going into the Hope Center. the leaders, they would have devotions. And one day we got there and we had a coffee ceremony, which is my favorite. That's one of my favorite things of Ethiopia, is coffee ceremonies. And so we, with the Hope Center, it was the boys that are off, they take off the streets. They take them off the streets and give them a home and food and such. But we were all sitting around having this coffee ceremony, and they start going into praise and worship to God. And they started singing how God works and how He's always seen you where you are. He's always seen you. And I'm telling you, these boys, some of the boys are raising their hands, crying, and it just makes me, remember that moment. And I was looking at these young men who are anywhere from 17, 15, 20, worshiping God. And that to me is investment. That to me is worth them teaching about Jesus, about who God is and how He sees them. And He has always seen them enough to put them in these places where they are right now, to better their lives.
Team was huge because, like I said, like Terry and Deb were both such great role models for me and Haley, and especially for Haley because I'm her mother, so she's like, what I say goes in one ear and out the other, but what they say, I think really she absorbed it.
Before I even started coming here, before I started doing Starting Point, anything, I really wasn't, didn't have much faith at all. And Terry was like, all right, well, you need to get involved. And I said, that's fine. Which I had already thought about it anyway because I've made such great connections with them, and it would just be better for me to keep learning and stuff because I really didn't know anything before going on this trip, and I've learned a lot, especially when we did our devotionals in the morning and everything, and Deb taught me a lot, Terry taught me a lot. So I think that was really helpful for me, having two people that are willing to teach. I had told Deb and Terry if we had a really big group, I probably wouldn't have been as comfortable as I was with just them.
So right now, I think God's still trying to teach me or tell me, pray. You've got to stay in my word. You've got to stay with me. You've got to keep yourself focused on me in prayer, whether you're in Ethiopia or here, because I'm not done. I'm not done here, Deb. God, I feel God is saying, we're not done.
You don't have to go to Ethiopia to do a mission. We need a lot of work here in the U.S.
We need to support these great organizations. I mean, it's one thing, because I've been to Global Outreach, and then I wouldn't go, and then I would go to Global Outreach, and now that I've been, it's like you see it, you feel it, you smell it, you live it, and it is worth it. Every penny that goes into Global Outreach is worth it for these people.
Over here, we're worshiping the same God that they worship over there, so it's great.